My friends and I were always doing things as teenagers that we shouldn't have. We snuck out, drank adult beverages, skipped school, you name it, we did it. But one of the stupidest things we did was sneak out one night to go visit an abandoned school. There were so many things that could have happened to us that night, and thankfully what we experienced didn't forever alter us physically, because we could have fallen through floors, been hit by collapsing ceilings, gotten hurt by squatters defending their home, which is why I advise any of you young listeners to avoid doing what we did. It was the middle of June, and while we were happy to be on summer break, the boredom had set in. You can only spend so much time at the mall, riding bikes, or playing video games. We always watched YouTube videos about abandoned explorers, and always talked about how cool it would be to do it ourselves. So one night, we decided to go explore the abandoned high school in our small town. It had been replaced about 20 years ago, so the old one sat vacant for that long. It was in rough shape. We didn't know that we were in for the scariest night of our lives. The school was less than a mile from my house, so I met everyone over there. I had to climb out my window. I knew my dad wouldn't budge, but my mom had always had those super strong mom senses. If one of us so much as sneezed, she knew it. So I popped out my screen as quietly as I could, slipped out, closed the window, and neatly put the screen back on. My friends were waiting. I was the last one there. It was my job to bring the flashlights and my camera so we could document it, as we were planning to start our own YouTube channel. The main doors to the school were still locked. Though they had sizable holes in them, none were big enough to climb through. So we checked for windows that weren't boarded up, and luckily, or unluckily, we found one that wasn't facing the street. We should have turned around and left, but instead, we hopped through one by one. From the instant we entered the place, the vibe felt off. At first, I shook it off as my mind playing tricks on me, because it was a dark, abandoned school after all. We decided to stay together as a group for the first half an hour or so before splitting off into pairs. My friend Jay was my explore partner. We were taking the freshman hallway, which also included the cafeteria. Walking down the dark, torn-up hallway, I felt an eerie sense of being watched. I couldn't shake it, so I turned to Jay and asked, "You feel that, man?" "Yeah, it's heavy," he said. I nodded as we turned into the first classroom. It was littered with debris and the ceiling tiles were all peeling and crumbling, which should have been our first sign to turn around, but we were cocky teenage boys and kept going. I wanted to go get some pictures and short clips of this room, because there were still posters on the wall and textbooks scattered around. I could barely make out the writing on the cover, but it said modern science. As I was getting close-up shots of the textbook cover, I heard what sounded like whispering coming from the back of the room. Jay had headed out with his phone camera to get some B-roll of the hallway, so I couldn't confirm that anyone else heard it. I made my way to the back of the classroom, but nothing seemed off back there. The whispers had stopped when I was halfway back. I had to tell Jay. "Jay!" I hollered. But Jay was standing there, in the hallway, frozen and silent, staring down towards the cafeteria doors. "Jay, what happened?" As if he never heard me come up behind him, he jumped and let out a half scream. "I was just taking some video footage of the hallway for our intro, and I saw someone, or something, down that way," he said, pointing at the cafeteria. "It looked like it or they walked into the cafeteria, man." Deciding we should go check it out just in case we weren't the only people here, we headed down the hallway, both recording. We stopped right outside the cafeteria doors and glanced at each other. Hesitantly, Jay stepped in first, yelling out, "Hello? Who's here? We aren't here to harm anyone. We're just exploring." No one answered, so I stepped inside. "This is Jay. I'm Ben. What's your name?" I asked. Again, no answer. We spent a few more minutes exploring the cafeteria and getting a few pictures. As we were almost out the door, we heard something shatter on the floor in the direction of the kitchen. We both jumped. "What should we do?" I asked. "We have to make sure no one else is here, for safety," Jay said. I was afraid he was going to say that. We headed towards the kitchen, where there were 2 plates, freshly shattered on the floor, so freshly that some of the pieces were still moving slightly. We bolted. There was no acting like tough guys. We ran and didn't stop until we reached the opposite end of the hall, as far as we could go. Once we caught our breath, I grabbed my phone and texted the rest of the group. They responded back. It wasn't any of them. They were still in their assigned explore areas. That's when Jay and I both heard whispering, coming from maybe 10 feet away from us. But there was no one there, and we would know by now if another person or group of people was here. We hadn't heard or seen any other signs of another group of people. So, knowing it had to be paranormal, I called out, "If anyone is here with us, give us a sign." We stood there for probably 5 minutes, both still as statues, listening. As we turned to go, there was a loud crash in the classroom to our left. Once again, we both jumped and swore out loud. "We have to check it out," I said. What we saw was nothing short of terrifying. The table that held the science book I was just taking pictures of minutes before was turned on its side. It was an old table, mind you, so it was heavy. We both booked it out of the classroom, and this time we didn't stop running until we ran into another pair from our group. We filled them in on what happened, and we texted the rest of the group to meet us in the commons area. Jay and I were done. We were ready to get out of there, so we insisted on leaving. None of us went to experience anything paranormal. We were just exploring that night. Upon arriving home, I searched the name of the school. I wasn't originally from the area, so I didn't know its complete history. Apparently, the school closed down after a partial fire that claimed the lives of 3 students and a teacher. Since that night, we've been back a few times to explore the paranormal. We've caught some pretty chilling things on camera, but we haven't started our channel yet. When I came across your video on the other haunted schools, I wanted to share this with you and your listeners. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Ben. I really do wish your channel much success. And when you do create your channel, please come back to this video and drop your channel in the comments. You have my full permission. If you have had similar experiences and you want your story told, email it to the address in the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you tomorrow, friends.